What is up? So, exciting episode. This is what I wanted the channel to be, and ask around, you shall receive. Still working on more requests, but this is what we're going to get into. We're going to do production D2 versus a custom D2. Now, this is what I wanted to test. How well do custom knives perform versus production? And how well do they perform with a decrease in behind the edge thickness? It does matter with this test. So, what we're testing, D2. The HRC is sort of known for the custom. The HRC for the rat can be found, averaged out on the internet. I can post that up during the test. But basically what we're looking at is we have so what I did was I measured the behind the edge thickness. I did it two ways. One, I did it with a stock thickness gauge. So this is a stock thickness gauge for different thicknesses of steel. Also used for wire. That's why they have the round holes on there. If you can't afford a really good set of calipers, I highly recommend picking these up. These are done with a laser, so they're pretty accurate. $9 on Amazon. And then I also used my new dial calipers. So these are zero error as far as the spec sheet in the box was concerned. So I didn't round anything, kind of got it to the nearest, decimal. For the behind the edge thickness of the rat 2 and D2, we have 18 thousandths behind the edge, which is pretty respectable. It is a fairly thin stock. And the Aw Bladeworks Proto in D2 has a behind the edge thickness of 12 thou, which is very good for a custom in D2. He chose to, so here's the deal. When you submit paperwork to Peter's Heat Treat, you have to fill out a form. Your credit card information goes on there, the type of steel goes on there, and the target HRC goes on there. So what I found out from just doing some research was, because I've sent stuff to Peter's before, and what I've found is that if you give them a wider range, they will give you that wider range right back. So if I were to say 61 to 65 HRC or 61 to 64 HRC, they're gonna their target is in between there. They're gonna hit it, and then they're gonna test it, and then they're gonna send it back, and it's going to say within 61 to 64 HRC. It's not going to give you an exact number, unless on the paper you state, I want this steel. So take, my K390 for instance. My K390, let's say I want this steel at 66, 67. I'm gonna put 67 because it's the higher on the scale, okay? Am I okay with 66? Yeah, I'm okay with 66. That's a respectable HRC for this steel, 66 HRC. It's on the higher end of 65, I'm fine with that. So I'm gonna put 67 HRC. They're gonna do their best to hit 67. What they're going to hit is definitely 66.5 HRC, which again, 0.5 is pretty respectable. I mean, and that also depends on, how hot it was in the shop and temperature and all this other stuff, and different variables, you'll get different readings. That's another thing we can talk about later. So what you want to do is when you're requesting anything heat treat wise from Peter's, don't be vague. Be very matter-of-factly, I want this HRC. They will do their best to hit it. If they don't and they can't, they will call you and work something out with you. This steel can get to 67 HRC with, you know, certain protocols or certain heat treat recipes, if you will, more layman's terms. But if you put a range, yeah, they'll hit that range, but they're going to give that range right back to you. So any makers out there, anyone that gets anything heat treated at Peters, just be specific. Put what you want on there and they will do their best to hit it. If not, it'll be within 1 to a half a point on the scale. So with that said, he chose 57 to 60 HRC, which is fine. It's respectable. This knife is some sort of, you know, small camp bushcraft design for things that are going to need toughness. When you get closer to 61 to 60 to 61 HRC, yeah, your edge retention goes up, but also for D2, for some reason, the toughness drops significantly. And I mean, that's something you can see on the work that Knife Steel Nerds did. They did a whole toughness thing with different steels. Just, you can check it out. So within that, near that range, near the 60 HRC range, we do get increased, you know, wear resistance, but we also get a significant decrease in toughness. And that is with pretty much a lot of the steels out there. When we start getting into that higher HRC range, our toughness drops. It's just the way it is. And when people are like, oh, this thing's tough at 65 HRC and blah, blah, blah. Sure, that's fine. But then I think that is also construed as to strength and impact toughness and yield strength and all this other stuff. So we'll talk about that later. I don't want to get into that. We'll discuss it. But just think about it this way, or just assume rather, higher the HRC, the less impact toughness you will get out of a knife to an extent. There are certain steels at certain HRCs that are fairly high that can withstand impact toughness. I'm not arguing that. But in this case, that is a respectable HRC, 57 to 60. We're going to get wear. We are going to get our toughness. It's good. With that Rat 2, I assume it's within the same range. I didn't do my research. Again, I will put that up on the screen when I run the test. So, pretty much the only factor that's different, again, edge angle. I can look at edge angle. I have my edge angle guide. I can measure it. I can put it up on the screen. Hardness, we can assume it's the same, but I don't want to assume anything, so I'll just put, you know, what I found. And then the behind the edge thickness, or behind the edge, is obviously thinner on the custom than it is the Rat. So my conclusion is the custom is obviously going to do better, and the Rat is not. Just from the track record that the Rat 2 has had and all the testing other people have done on it with cardboard no less, so I don't think it's going to be that great. Honestly don't. So we'll get into the test. I'll post all the specs before I run the knife on the test. Again, we'll just go 10 times, 2 cuts per pass, or per cut, and then, or 2 passes per cut rather, and then test it on the paper. Once it's done, and then we stop the test, and then we'll talk about it for a second. All right, thank you. On with the test. So, the test is over. What do we think's gonna happen? Envelope, please. Thank you. Here are the results. So, we started out with the rat 2 in D2. Behind the edge thickness is 18 thousandths. I did check the edge angle. It was between 30 inclusive and 35 inclusive, so roughly 17, 18 degrees, which is what I've been hitting every time with my little doohickey. It was sharpened 300 grit, 600 grit, and then stropped with a new formula that I recently received. That's going to be another video. So, 10 passes per side. And what we got was, we got 7. Just 7. Times 10. Times 2. 140 cuts with that rat 2 in D2. I don't think... Oh, I'm sorry. You know what it did? You know what happened? So, you guys already saw my other video with the 20 CV and M4. That rat in D2 fucking beat out a $300 or $200 ZT0640. That ZT came in at 120 cuts. This beat it out by fucking 20 cuts. This thing. This like $40 knife. So A, if you're looking for great edge retention, stop fucking around with these fucking companies that don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, they're there to sell you knives, that's it. They're not there to sell you quality. Bottom line. Now, Gerald from Outpost 76, you guys should check him out. He did a whole thing on D2. How, you know, D2 is being beat out by, you know, OS 8 and stuff like that. And I 100% couldn't agree more. D2 is very, very, in every single production knife, it is very overrated. In production. However, when we get to customs and we send them out for heat treat and we can get, you know, 1 or 2 knives in the same batch, that's a different story. And again, he touched on that, and it all comes down to the way it was heat treated. You know, we get different microstructures for different protocols and stuff like that, and we will touch on microstructures further down. I will explain this. But the fact that this beat out a fucking $200 and something knife or whatever, like that's insane. And if you guys should just be buying those knives for design, because the steel, yes, that steel is good, but like they fucked up the heat treat on that fucking 20 CV. Anyway, I digress. 140 cuts with this rat 2 in D2. So, we have the Aw Bladeworks, the Proto in D2. The HRC range was 57 to 60. The behind the edge thickness was 12 thousandths. The edge angle was 30 to 35 inclusive, just like the other one. Can I get a drum roll, please? Okay, this knife fucking wiped the floor with that knife like I knew it was gonna. 240 cuts. That's what it did. 240 cuts. You synced everything. You saw it live on camera. 240 cuts. What does that mean? This is a 53% difference over that knife. This had a 42% increase in performance over that knife. Same steel. Similar edge angle. Probably similar HRC. We'll find that out. Probably not similar microstructure. No. Different behind the edge thickness. This is way thinner. You can feel it with that machinist's technique. Way thin. It fucking crushed that knife. D2. Okay? So, when you're spending hundreds of dollars on a Medford that's in D2, where they don't care about the heat treat, or you're spending hundreds of dollars on just any type of production D2 that is just trash, you need to look to the little guy and fucking talk to them, because they know knife design. They know how to take care of this type of stuff. All the makers do. This knife design is shit for cutting fucking like this. It's garbage, because now all your wear is on this fucking like hump right here. If it was with a spear point, it'd be a lot better fucking knife. This blade design is a great blade design. You got a little flat right here, and then it swoops down nice, kind of like a Japanese style knife. And if anyone knows how to make knives, it's fucking Japan. So, with that said, this one came out on top over this one, and that's all I wanted to test, was the fact that we got makers out there that they know what the fuck they're doing. Are some of their knives expensive? Yeah, but they also spend a lot of fucking time on them. A lot of time, a lot of energy on them. And I think that we, just like with everything that's going on, we need to fucking start making decisions with our wallets. Do people have favorite companies? Sure. They have favorite companies, they got favorite deodorants, they got favorite soaps, they got favorite jerk-off lube, whatever. But when it comes down to like getting customizations that you want, you're not going to get that out of a production knife without spending significantly more money. So you can buy a Spyderco. Okay, you don't get to choose the heat treat, you don't get to choose the fucking behind the edge thickness. You don't get to choose the scales. So you got to spend $80 on scales. You got to spend $50 to $70 on a fucking regrind. You got to spend money on this. You got to spend money on that. So now that $180 knife is now $200 to $380. And you could have taken all of that money and you could have just spent it. You could have talked to a custom maker and been like, hey man, like I want this, this, and this. I'm willing to spend this much money. It's my budget. And they will be like, you know what? Yep, we'll do it. It's simple as that. Steel for these types of knives, you can get fairly large amounts of steel for less than $100. You can get scale material, like right here. We have this 1/4 inch micarta. This is $8 for the whole sheet, and it's 1/4 by 5 by 10. This is $8. So yeah, I mean, pin material is cheap. You get it in fucking bulk. So like, they will do the math and break it down, and then you're paying for labor and time. And I feel like that the more time and labor that's spent on this stuff, and if they're a good maker, they're not going to send out shit knives like Bark River or something like that, which is, my opinion, way overpriced fucking garbage. So this, for whatever money he's charging, because I don't know, you need to hit him up. AW Bladeworks, aw.bladeworks on Instagram, and his website is www.awbladeworks.com. Very cool dude, very nice dude. You get, sheaths. He took the time to, make a water, drainage hole on this thing, so when you're carrying it, all the water comes out. It's D2. It's not gonna fucking rust and corrode. So I don't know. That's what's gonna happen on this channel. Hopefully, if I get more makers. I mean, I'd like to showcase these guys. I know other guys are talking about if you want what you want, you need to spend, or you need to decide with your wallet. And that's just bottom line. Like, you're gonna get way better performance. You're gonna get customized materials. Shit, if you wanted something that they couldn't find, you could fucking buy it and send it to them, and I'm sure they'd be happy to fucking put it on a blade for you. But that's my point. Is like, yeah, our Spyderco is cool. Yeah, they're cool knives, but like, and like you can get them in a wide range of steel, but like a lot of the time too, you can get a lot of those steels if you just talk to the fucking dudes. You can get fucking your Rex 21s. I know Rex 45 might be very difficult. Maybe it's, you know, Spyderco can only buy it, but I'm sure if you fucking schmooze up with a sales guy at Crucible, they would probably fucking kick you like a sample, which is plenty big enough to make a fucking knife. I guarantee it. So, 53% difference, 42% increase with the custom D2 at 57 to 60 HRC. And I think that's fucking respectable for that knife. Honestly. In that steel, that is very respectable. Fucking beat out 20 CV. What else did it beat out that I've recently done? It fucking almost matched the Spyderco M4 factory edge. So the Spyderco M4 was at 20,000s. It fucking matched that. No, it didn't beat anything else out. It's just that it's the thinner behind the edge. And it's the way that it was heat treated. When I say the way it was heat treated, the way the steps taken, the careful steps taken, the way it was heat treated. I don't think a lot of people realize like how much fucking effort goes into that kind of stuff. But also I don't think people realize like they just hear the next big buzzword like, oh, 20 CV or M390. Shut up. Like, tool steels for life, in my opinion. Fuck all that stainless shit. Does it belong on a knife? Fuck no. The only ones that belong on a knife are your fucking S30Vs that have been around for fucking 10 years, 15 years. S35VN, that type of shit that was developed for fucking knives. Where custom makers like Phil Wilson have had a hand in testing it. Or Chris Reeve have a hand in testing it. That sort of stuff. So I think just to like fucking spend a shitload of money on like a okay knife without a bunch of modifications is kind of like fucking stupid. I've done it, so I mean I can attest to that. Like, it's stupid. I think we need to start looking at more custom makers, and yeah, the price is going to be outrageous, but like, or on some of them, but it's worth it because if they're full-time maker, they're spending their time on that, and you're going to get a high quality blade, and the warranty on those are going to be forever. Like, a lot of these guys that make these knives like put their blood, sweat, and tears into it and expect it to fucking work the way they intended to, and with proper use, it fails, then they would probably be more than happy to fucking take care of it. If it failed without proper use, like you're smashing up against fucking bolts and shit, like a dum-dum, then yeah, fuck you, you deserve it. You deserve to have your fucking knife broken. It's plain and simple. So, with that said, if there's anyone out there that is a maker that wants, to do this test, let me know. I'm going to try to get a hold of some 1095 production. I think Tops Knives makes some, and it's fairly good from what I've heard and read. And then I kind of want to hit up this one dude that I hit up a while ago and kind of get one of his customs in here, 1095 carbon steel, and then kind of branch out from there. But I wanted, after I put a post up, Adam reached out to me, and he took care of everything, and fucking his knife performs obviously fucking really well. So if you guys are looking for some D2, I think he's doing 3V knives as well too, so hit him up for that. And yeah, Let me know if you want me to talk about anything. You have any makers in mind, let me get their info, hit them up. We'll talk about it. We'll try to find a production in equivalent steel, hopefully. I know a lot of makers use, you know, the 18 CR VO whatever, the forging steels now, so I don't know. We'll find someone. If not, once I get my a piece of machinery that I'm getting, I'll just crank out a bunch of fucking test blades and do it myself. I don't know. But let me know. Hit me up. Reach out. Anyway, flick that fucking subscribe button. Flick that like shit. Smash that thumb. And hit me up in the comments or message me. Find me on Instagram. And yeah, we'll do more of this stuff. More customs versus production. So that's a wrap. Thanks, guys.